Today, Joe Biden claims his administration beat Big Pharma, whatever that means. A federal judge grants Trump's request for a special master. And Peter Doocy confronts Karine Jean-Pierre on her past election misinformation. We've got all of that and more coming up, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, and today's episode is brought to you by Healthy Cell. They've got a ton of different supplements to help with sleep, focus. They've got a great general multivitamin. They taste great. My family, we live off of these supplements. You got to go there. They're going to give you much better absorption than any type of pill over at healthycell.com/news. Use code NEWS for 20% off of your order. healthycell.com/news. Would like to welcome to the program Jorge Ventura. He is reporter over at the Daily Caller, and he is like, I don't know, actually, who is jet-setting across the country more, Jorge or my other guest over here, Jakub Bujans, who is BlazeTV contributor, also host of The Bottom Line, and literally just flew in and came straight to the studio because he also is just, you guys are just always dispersed about the country. I don't understand how you do it, but I sure do appreciate your work.
Thank you. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you. And the things are with so many crises around the country. It's like you got to be everywhere with this administration. The news does not stop, literally. With this
It's true. We were and everyone needs to be following Jorge because he really does. He covers everything. But we were talking about, he was like, I was at the border and I needed to go to Jackson because no one has clean water there and nobody's talking about it. So it really is. There is no lack of coverage to be had when you live in the Biden administration times. So speaking of Joe Biden, who I think I'm convinced is a hologram at this point, you cannot convince me otherwise. Yesterday, he spoke at a Labor Day event in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, about the importance of unions and warning these workers, these union workers, about MAGA Republicans. This is the new phrase. This is the new talking point because, you know, as the left does, this is a very slow roll. This is a very slow, methodical. We are first going to call white people terrorists. Then we are going to call white Christian males terrorists. Then we are going to call red hat wearing America-loving people domestic terrorists. Then we are going to call conservative parents in public schools domestic terrorists. You know what? I think we're just going to call the entire conservative movement MAGA Republicans and insinuate that they are threatening the democracy, that you are the domestic terrorists, actually. Congratulations. A heckler was escorted out during Joe Biden's speech, and Biden, of course, called him an idiot, which is very unifying, and claimed that he was one of those MAGA Republicans disrupting democracy. Watch.
As I said last week, we remain in the battle for the soul of America. By the way. All right, God love you. Let him go. Let him go. No, don't let him go. Look, everybody's entitled to be an idiot. No, everybody's entitled. Okay? Look. Extreme MAGA Republicans don't just threaten our personal rights and our economic security. They embrace political violence. The definition of democracy is you accept the will of the people when the votes are honestly counted. These guys don't do it.
Couple things there maybe to unpack. First of all, did you guys catch the glitch in the Matrix right there? No. Hard reset, hard reset. Okay, I think we're good. The votes that are honestly counted, I think, is where maybe the mix-up is, because I happened to watch a movie about, I'll just say, a bunch of animals that are sort of like donkeys. And what I saw was a bunch of people stuffing ballot boxes, which would insinuate that these were not honest votes, which is what the entire argument is. Not, of course, people who are standing up and saying, we believe that all of these votes are completely accurate and we just want to overthrow it anyway. But when it comes to honesty, I don't think we should be looking for it from Joe Biden.
The funny thing about this is, they did the Russiagate for 4 years.
Yeah.
They were able to portray that message, and no one was able to question. It wasn't even misinformation. You could go on, on YouTube. They never got banned for it. And then now, 4 years later, all of a sudden the tables have turned. The other thing that kind of caught my eye from that little situation, that moment that Joe Biden had with the heckler, was that heckler. And people in unions, they're also Republicans in unions. So him kind of attacking that is attacking the working class and really putting a target on just regular working class folks. I think Joe Biden needs a reminder. His Democratic Party, while he was in office, played a huge role in 2008, selling out all those union jobs to China, and that actually brought in the opioid crisis and everything else. So Joe Biden needs to take responsibility for that. But he needs a quick little reminder on that.
It is interesting too, Jaco, because Jorge rightfully points out that union workers are very much, blue collar, flyover nation, everyday Americans who I'm sure are being squeezed by all of the Biden policies, but also oil and gas workers make up a large percentage of union workers. And he's obviously doing his best to literally put them out of a job.
Yeah, but he's pro-union. And look, I'll say this.
Well, he says it, but...
But I'll say this. Those union workers we're talking about, if you give them a choice, honestly, those who we believe are conservative and has our values, they don't want to be unionized. They don't want to be in a union.
Yeah.
You got Starbucks right now kicking against getting unionized, and these are his buddies. Because they understand that to the dollar, to the conservative mindset or the capitalist mindset, and he loves capitalism. He loves his son running around and benefiting from gains. And
he loves crony capitalism, for sure.
And insider trading with Pelosi and all they love capitalism. It's just for them. It's not for you. And so we're going to unionize you. And so, look, it's a joke. It's hypocritical. It is gaslighting. It is everything you can imagine. But my concern here is, Sarah, Hillary Clinton for 4 years ran on the election was stolen. Trump stole the election from me, and we all needed to pay attention how we needed to take it serious, that the election was stolen from Hillary, and she never gave up. Still today, I think if you meet her today, she'll say the election was stolen from her. But you can't say that, because the mindset here is it's a class system. They want to create a class system like India has had forever, where you work for us, and you breathe when we say you breathe, the way we say so. And if we want to unionize you and squeeze you and take your taxes to 60%, hello Canada, okay, we are allowed to do it because we are the upper class. We are the elite, the small little faction that has sworn this allegiance to Satan, right? No, and Americans need to just stand back. When they go into a Trump rally and completely disrupt the rally, then it's peaceful protesting.
Right.
They set a city on fire.
I mean, if it was Trump that called that guy an idiot, that would have been headlines. New York Times, CNN, Trump calls working class man or an idiot. But it was Joe Biden, so they're just going to let that.
Remember with
roll
Trump
on.
when Trump said, turn the cameras around to see how many people there are? I'm saying turn the cameras around so we can see how few people there are. There's nobody at these rallies.
Yeah, it was interesting to see. I think Benny Johnson tweeted out a comparison between, and
great.
if the comparisons were accurate, boy,
it's great.
That was quite a difference between the Trump rally and who showed up to hear Joe Biden speak. But we talk about all of this division that the left is trying to impart on the nation, and it's just fascinating the links that they will go to try to gaslight you into thinking that they are actually the ones who are unifying and saving the country. And no, we're not dividing. We're actually just calling out hatred because, of course, it is the extreme MAGA Republicans who are the hateful ones. Here is just on Sunday, I'm thinking that today's Monday. It's not, it's Tuesday. Sunday, senior White House advisor Keisha Lance Bottoms said that Biden's speech last week, the one that you watched where it looked like he was literally delivering it from the depths of hell, and he was basically calling out an entire half of the country, claiming that they were, all things extreme. They were a threat to democracy. They were horrible people. He was dehumanizing an entire half of the country. She says, actually, this was needed because the administration has to call out hatred. Watch.
Biden said President Trump's MAGA supporters are a danger to democracy. How is that a unifying message?
Well, what the president did was that he reminded the American people of who we are as a country. We are a democracy that's been built on the rule of law. We are a democracy that values the peaceful transition of power. The president spoke optimistically about who we are as Americans. We are the greatest nation in the world, but also a reminder that we have to be intentional about being the greatest nation in the world, and that we have to call out hatred, we have to call out this violence.
Democracy, democracy, democracy. By the way, we're not a direct democracy. We're a representative democracy and also a constitutional republic. Very different from what they are purporting that we are supposed to be set up as. You looked like your head was about to explode, so I'm going to go to you first.
Throw the table through the wall. I mean, this is the biggest load of horse doo-doo you will ever see in your life. They're liars. At the same time, this administration is telling you that it's all about unifying the nation and we're this great nation. They're going from school district to school district, killing the American history, not teaching American history, absolutely canceling American exceptionalism, no longer even teaching kids that we went to the moon, we had any exceptional feat. I sit in these meetings and they literally say, what's so exceptional about America? This is what they believe. They hate this country. They love the dollar. They love you working for them. This is a farce. Do not be smokescreened or fleeced any longer. This is an absolute farce. What they say and how they live their lives do not line up, and none of it lines up with the Word of God. That I can promise you. So I'm sick of it, Sarah. I just pray that peaceful transition of power, you're going to see how peacefully we're going to transition power in November. We're going to transition it again in 2024. And we're going to transition, all right, peacefully. But nothing they've done is peaceful.
Yeah.
Show me a single peaceful thing that they've done. Asking young white men, 22 years old, to apologize for being Caucasian, right? Because somehow you're a fascist, but fascism doesn't include freedom of speech. It's kind of interesting because we're about freedom of speech.
You're asking for something that's peaceful that they've done. I thought that the Summer of Love party of 2020 was
where were you?
Was really peaceful, right? That was super peaceful.
The funny thing about this
Mostly
whole
peaceful anyway.
MAGA Republicans and everything about this is the Democratic Party, the establishment, they actually created the MAGA movement by being so bad at politics and destroying the working class. Donald Trump doesn't come in the picture because we're doing awesome and everyone's making money and people could feed themselves. The Democratic Party was so bad with the working class, they created Trump. They created the populist movement, and they've created this other voter base who's rejecting this coastal, elitist, college-educated kind of voter base. The Democratic Party can't relate to anyone in the working class. I mean, they're losing all the Hispanics in South Texas already.
Yeah.
So them saying...
It's about time, help us there. It's about time.
So them calling these people extremists is well, you created them. If you would have just taken care of them and gave them health care and a living wage, you would have never, but now we are in I'm loving it to see them freaking out over regular voters. This is great.
Yeah, and of course, we would be remiss if we did not play for you Joe Biden's very awkward moment where he screamed about his administration beating pharma, whatever that means. Watch.
Man, not this year. We beat Pharma this year.
What?
We beat Pharma this year, and it mattered. We're going to change people's lives.
Why is he so mad about it? You're saying that you beat them, which, by the way, peculiar to me because the last I checked, you guys were in bed with them with this public-private partnership, buying up doses of a vaccine that they've concluded does not actually prevent the infection. But really weird, even if you thought that you did. Why are you so angry about it? Also weird because at the same time that he is, I guess, trying to call pharma out, would you characterize that as saying that pharma is a bad thing that they ended up beating, right? We won against Big Pharma. Well, here is Joe Biden's, one of his COVID advisors, pushing for you to go get not just the COVID shot, but lots and lots of Big Pharma. Watch.
I really believe this is why God gave us two arms, one for the flu shot and the other one for the COVID shot.
Well, it's nice to know that they believe in God again.
Amazing.
That's good.
That there's blasphemy. For that reason, you may need to lose your two arms. Okay. Maybe that's what it is.
That's actually a good. Okay, I like that one. I think that's exactly what he meant.
I would like to believe that that's true. All right, we've got to take a quick break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Nusu Labs. So, listen, I've had 2 children. I understand that losing weight is really, really hard, especially when you have certain cravings throughout the day. Those of you who are working from home, you're going to the pantry like 20 times a day, trying to see what you can eat because you're not hungry, but really you're just bored. Well, you got to try Nusu. You got to try their new weight control formula. They are using biohacking technology to curb your appetite and control those unwanted cravings. They've got natural ingredients, antioxidants, and it's going to help you maximize a healthy metabolism, keep you away from all of those empty calories, and you're not going to have the jitters like you do with a lot of these other drugs that promise, thoughts of losing weight, but you're like shaking the whole time that you're taking it. It's not going to do that. They also have the mood-enhancing ingredient in dark chocolate to keep you from getting hangry. Nusu guarantees you will lose up to 3 pounds in the first week or your money back. You have nothing to lose. I've tried it. It's worked for me. It can work for you as well. Right now, you can get a free bottle with your order at nusulabs.com/Y. That is NUSU labs.com/Y. By the way, if you join their world-class concierge program, you're going to get an extra 10% off at checkout, a free month supply, free priority shipping at nusulabs.com/Y. Yesterday, United States District Judge Eileen Cannon approved President Donald Trump's request to appoint a special master to oversee the FBI's audit of the materials seized in the raid on Mar-a-Lago. The judge said that the case's unusual nature partly contributed to her decision. She wrote, pursuant to the court's equitable jurisdiction and inherent supervisory authority, and mindful of the need to ensure at least the I love this. At least the appearance of fairness and integrity under the extraordinary circumstances presented. Plaintiff's motion is granted in part. She also temporarily stopped the FBI's criminal investigation into the materials seized from Trump. Obviously, we've talked about this since it happened here on the program. Trump's argument was very simple. It was that a special master is necessary because of the FBI's overreach, because of the DOJ going along with all of this, that Trump says, and by the way, it has been proven, at least in part, that they seized a bunch of stuff that wasn't part of the warrant, that they obviously abused their power. So you don't want to give the people who just abused their power more leeway to go ahead and, investigate themselves, I guess. So the legal team by Trump is most interested in documents and records it claims are protected by attorney-client privilege and executive privilege. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And I don't know. I feel like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop because I never really expect a federal judge to rule in Trump's favor in the way that just happened. Now, it will be interesting to see who the special master is, who is appointed. My interpretation, my knowledge of it is that they both have to agree on the special master, or the judge would sign off on it and appoint it. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I'm like, I don't really want to be optimistic about this because then I just feel like it's going to be a letdown. Because at the end of the day, I don't believe for a second that there are not all of the actors in the government necessary to eventually indict Trump, have him do the perp walk. That's what they all want, of course, to prevent him from running in 2024. What say you?
I think my opinion on this whole thing really started to change after Biden's speech, because I think after I heard his speech, I was like, okay, they're 100% going to throw the book and go in and indict Trump. At first, I was a little bit shaky on it because I'm like, I know Biden knows if he does do this, it's almost going to create this kind of civil war with the voter base. But after his speech, it almost seems like they got the messaging saying, hey, we're going all in, and we're going to start off with the speech letting the other voter base know they are the enemy, and we're going forward. So
they laid the groundwork.
They already laid the groundwork. So for me, that really changed, and it's hilarious to see this administration talk about democracy when Biden is literally trying to prosecute Julian Assange in the United States. I mean, we're talking about a journalist and freedom of speech. So it's interesting how he's bringing that up in the midst of this. But I think after the speech, I don't know how you feel, but for me, that really changed the game. I said, okay, they're going in.
Yeah.
The day they went in his house, I said, this is war. They just lost the election, and their only play, and they pulled the ripcord. There's no return. They jumped out of the airplane. There is no return. They have to double down on this narrative. They want to indict him to a point where he's disqualified from running, right? And if he's found guilty in a criminal offense, he couldn't run to become the mayor of a town. And so that's their play. It's all things block Trump. What they're forgetting about is this. The people elected Trump. And they're going to elect a sound leader again. And if it's not Trump, then it will be Ron DeSantis or somebody like him. Right. But they're forgetting about the American people. And what I want us to not lose focus of is They do not care about the American people. And even in the action of going after Trump, they're going, we believe we can control the people. Let's take their champion. No, the people brought that champion. The people voted him in. You still need the people. And so this is where power to the people always. Stand together, stand strong, stand on truth, and don't compromise for nothing. And we will see this thing turn again. But I'm with you. But I was there day one. I was like, no, they can't turn. There's no U-turn. They have nothing else to run on.
Well, I mean, it's true, because what else are they going to draw attention to? What else are they going to run on? Are they going to run on gas prices? Are they going to run on what your 401k looks like? Are they going to run on what your grocery bill is every day?
Maybe they can run on 10,000 million jobs.
Right.
10,000 million.
10,000 million.
Right? Maybe
It's quite a number, Joe.
Maybe they can run on that. Maybe that'll rally America to go, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to go back to, I'm gonna throw you guys off in the control room. I just mentioned inflation. I want to go back to really quickly Joe Biden. You may not realize actually that the cause of inflation is something you may have not considered. It's certainly not the government printing more money that they don't have and signing all of this debt to you and your children and your children's children and your children's children's children. It's certainly not any of that. It actually is, the inflation is high because of high automobile prices and because of computer chips or something. Watch.
By the way, the reason why last year inflation was so high, you know the biggest reason? Cost of automobiles. You know why they cost so much? They didn't have the computer chips to make the automobiles.
We're living in a comic strip. I mean,
But even his voters are like,
I know.
let's just keep smiling and just hold like the sign up, I guess.
Yeah, they're like, guys, Susan, we're in the camera shot. Just keep holding the sign. Don't make a face. Stop.
the whole audience IQ just dropped by 30 points. I mean, it's just...
I mean, it's like, even if you're an average, okay, I'm tossing out the crazy lefties because I realize they're going to vote for Joe Biden. They're going to vote for him after he's dead. He might be now, I don't know. But aside from them, it's like the average Democrat cannot look at that and see, as I mentioned, their bills, their grocery bills, their gas bills, everything that they're spending. See all of the money that they're sending to Ukraine. See all of the money that they're blowing on all of these other things and be like, you know what? He's right. It's those damn computer chips.
The cars.
That's those
the
damn
cars, John. I told you it's the cars.
Damn cars.
But see, the issue is his voter base is basically 90%, wine moms who are living next to the coast. So, they see that they eat it up. But like you said, a regular working class person, there's no way they're buying that. I mean, there's no way. There's no way. I mean, the average person has, the pain at the pump, the inflation at the grocery store, small business owners with the supply chain. There's no way that they're buying this. But like I said, I mean, even after he repeats that, you can just look at his voters and everyone's just like, let's just go.
It's a duck. It's walking and quacking like a duck. It's a duck. Trust your gut, people.
Yeah,
they're lying
please.
to you. This is the fact that a president of the United States would utter a sentence like that. And has staff. Let's remember now, there's staff. There's a bunch of
lots
people.
Of staff.
There's speech writers.
It feels like the whole room was like, hey guys, it's our crazy grandpa. He just says things,
No, they wrote it. This is a good idea.
He does go off script a lot, though. He does go off script a lot.
I don't know, man.
You know that.
Whoever his comms director has to be like, oh, not
every
again,
time he
Joe.
goes off script, comms director. No. Oh, crap.
Not the used car line.
Get Karine Jean-Pierre on the phone. We're going to have a response
bring in
to this
affirmative
one.
action. Let's fix this problem.
Please. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, iTarget Pro. So it's getting dangerous out there, especially if you are still living in the cities. First of all, get the heck up out of cities because they are really, really dangerous. They're decriminalizing everything. But second of all, it is really important to make sure that you are protected with a firearm, and not just protected with a firearm. It is important that you are properly trained and you stay trained. That is why we use iTarget Pro over at my house. This allows you to dry fire practice with your actual firearm. This is anytime in the privacy and safety of your own home, so you don't have to go to the range. You're going to save a ton of money on practice ammo. You guys know how expensive ammunition is if you shoot. This is going to pay for itself in just one use with the amount that you are going to save just on the ammunition and the range fees. And again, if you shoot, you realize each gun is different. The trigger, the pull is different on each gun. The sight alignment is different. Make sure that you stay sharp with all of your firearms. You can save 10% plus free shipping with the offer code NEWS when you go to itargetpro.com. That is the letter I, targetpro.com, offer code NEWS. According to anonymous sources, Nancy Pelosi is shaking in her boots because she is worried about the Republicans perhaps successfully taking the House. And of course, old Nancy can't let that power be thwarted from her so easily. She needs to make sure that she has power somewhere. So she wants Joe Biden to dub her the next U.S. ambassador to Italy. This is currently vacant, by the way, and this is allegedly being held for Nancy Pelosi herself. And you would probably be not shocked at all to hear that the embassy to Italy is based in a 15th century mansion called the Villa Taverna, sitting on 7 private acres in the heart of Rome. So she'd have a fountain, she'd have granite columns, she'd have all of these busts of Roman emperors all around her, living the high life. And this is a 3-story mansion, by the way, a $1.1 million wine cellar, which holds over 5,000 bottles of wine. So you know Nancy could look them through it in 1 week, okay? She and Paul, you better take Paul's keys away, all right? Because he's going to get in big trouble.
The Palmies are going to arrest Paul. The Palmies are going to arrest him.
So it's a private theater, a swimming pool, a tennis court. Why am I not surprised that this is what? Again, this is an anonymous source who told, I believe it was Fox Business Network. I completely believe that this is true.
I do too, but you're leaving one thing out, though.
What?
She must upgrade to gelato.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
It's the upgrade, Sarah.
That is true. It's not the Jenny's ice cream.
I'm not going to be close to the Pope, wink, wink, to the corruption of the Vatican, wink, wink. It's the gelato.
I mean, I don't know about you. I like this move. Let's get her out of here. Yeah, let's put her up in a nice little spot in Rome.
What is the ambassador to Italy actually
Send her.
do?
I have no problem with this one. Move her along if she wants to become an Italian mob boss over in Rome.
No return to sender envelope. One-way ticket.
One-way ticket. But we get to keep Paul because Paul is a fun time.
I think Paul would probably like for you to keep him as well, just to get him out of that. Oof. That's why I'm like, the only thing that I cannot fault Paul Pelosi for, he should not have been drinking while driving. You can't fault him for drinking while being married to Nancy Pelosi. You definitely cannot fault him for that. By the way, speaking of Paul, in more Pelosi-related news, Paul Pelosi, in July, you may recall, we talked about this on this program, sold 25,000 shares of stock in the computer software NVIDIA at an average price of $165.05, causing a loss of $341,365. 1 month later, NVIDIA revealed that the federal government imposed export restrictions on the company's A100 and forthcoming H100 circuits. So shares fell 7.7% upon learning this, and a total of 16% since Paul Pelosi sold his shares on July 26th. This, of course, comes in a long line of very interesting Pelosi transactions. I will tell you this, these people are worth millions, and I'm not really good at math, but I'm fairly sure that they didn't make those millions on Nancy Pelosi's $175,000 salary that she has had in Congress for approximately the last 340 years that she has been in Congress. But of course, their spokesperson said that the lawmaker, Nancy, had no knowledge of her husband's transactions whatsoever.
Of course not.
No.
Sarah, I thought you knew that Paul's a sound investor. He was the protege of Warren Buffett, this guy.
Maybe she needs a little call from Martha Stewart.
Yeah, it seems
that insider
to be.
thing?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Martha's now friends with Snoop Dogg, so sometimes it works out okay for them. It depends on which way you lean.
Hey, Ghislaine Maxwell got the same sentence. She just got moved out of prison to a nice, cushy kind of home arrest situation. So,
it depends.
It works out well for them.
It does. It always seems to. By the way, Paul Pelosi's sale also came just before Nancy's visit to Taiwan, where she met with the chairman of we discussed this on the program at the time, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. This is a major supplier of NVIDIA. And just today, the U.S. State Department approved a potential $1.1 billion sale of military equipment to Taiwan. The largest portion of the sale is a $655 million logistics support package for Taiwan's surveillance radar program, which provides air defense warnings. The arms sales must be approved by Congress, but of course, both Democratic and Republican congressional aides said that they did not expect opposition. What I take from this is things are not great in other parts of the world, and things are not great here. And it's just that we have a hologram for a president. So I just don't feel very comfortable about it. The lawmakers don't seem to be doing anything except trying to profit and work the stock market in their favor the way that they do. And it just feels a lot like we don't have anyone looking out for us, not to bring us down. But it's a little scary at times when I read all that, and I'm like, oh yeah, I was thinking about Russia and Ukraine. I totally forgot about China and Taiwan. That's cool. Oh yeah, I totally forgot that the United States isn't doing so hot themselves. We don't even need anyone to be in conflict with. We're just in conflict with ourselves, apparently, according to Joe.
Yeah, just like I said, just left Jackson, Mississippi. We have Americans that can't even have literally one glass of clean drinking water, and we're sending another huge package. Look, I'm anti-China. I'm pretty sure everyone at this table is, but anytime Democrats and Republicans agree on an issue, it's a huge red flag, and for them to agree on this sales package, it's like, I don't know. I have that weird feeling. What are we getting involved here? Obviously, the proxy war in Ukraine, that's a huge failure. I mean, we could all read that one from a mile away. This one is just a whole new territory with China, but it seems like this is the wrong time for the United States to be getting involved, approving this type of weapon sales and packages. Now we're ruining our relationship with China. I mean, I don't know. This seems like this is pretty grim.
China would agree with Jorge. I want to throw this statement from their spokesperson in from the Chinese embassy, who said that this sale severely jeopardizes China-U.S. relations and peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. China will resolutely take legitimate and necessary countermeasures in light of the development of the situation. Doesn't that make you feel really good when you go to bed at night?
Yeah, but there's yes and no. Look, there's icebergs all around, and there's no captain at the rudder. There's no captain at the ship, so it's bad. To Sarah's point, it's a real wake-up call for the world. Maybe a little silver lining with a new prime minister in the UK. Maybe that can stabilize a little bit. But we need some serious help right here at home. The Taiwan situation is a real situation, though. It's real. A lot of hoodwinking going on in the Ukraine and Russia. But China's not playing games. But I'll say this, and we have this from inside sources. There's a revolution coming in China. The people are going to revolt against the leadership. The CCP is losing its power locally in China. Their economy is not what they make it to be. They're as good as CNN at selling you know what for what. I mean, so I think a little bit of pressure on China is good, but I agree with you. This is not the time for us. We need to focus at home here. And fix the ship at home and get ourselves in clear waters, and it's not this way.
And thankfully we have Joe Biden to help us do that.
Yeah. And we just had that recent report showing that American life expectancy has dropped in this country. So why are we so focused on these other issues when our American families right now can't even feed each other right now? We have Americans in the food lines, Americans in water lines, single mothers that can't put their kids in school right now. We're focused on all these other countries but ours, and like I said, this is just it's a recipe for disaster. And on top of a border crisis, we're letting in all these illegals on top of giving money away and inflation and economic problems. It just seems like a recipe for disaster for this country. Right
but
now.
Also, to add to it, you're looking at an energy crisis in California. You're looking at rolling brownouts and blackouts. That happens in Africa. That doesn't happen in the United States. You should not have clean drinking water in the United States. And we're not just talking about a Flint, Michigan situation. Right. We're talking about real now. But don't worry, it's all computer chips for the cars.
Right.
It's not,
right.
It's all,
of course. That's all it is.
Hey, Joe, we don't have water. Don't worry. When we get the chips back,
don't realize.
Don't worry about the water, guys. We have these MAGA extremists over here. Yeah, we'll worry about the water later.
You do realize, obviously, how computer chips can cause a water shortage. I mean, you'd be an idiot if you couldn't work that one out in your head.
Hey, don't charge your Tesla. Please don't charge your Tesla in California.
We've got to take a quick break, but we'll be back with more. First, we want to thank our sponsor, SweatBlock. So SweatBlock is there for those of you really sweaty people who you get the big underarm wet spots, and it's really embarrassing. And you don't have to have that happen anymore if you try SweatBlock. They've got these awesome wipes that they are applied at night, and they will protect you from all of that gross sweat for up to 7 days. And yes, I know this because my husband tried it out. And we live in Texas, and it's 1 billion degrees all the time. love you, honey, but he was pretty sweaty. But he's not anymore, thanks to SweatBlock. You got to try it over at SweatBlock.com. You can use promo code NEWS and you'll get 20% off. Guys, this stuff is amazing. You got to try it. It is SweatBlock.com, promo code NEWS. Last week, President Trump called into Wendy Bell's show over on Newsmax and said that he is currently financially supporting several of the accused protesters over January 6th. And suggested pardons for those people in the future, which is like, it's good to hear this because I know at the time, I'm going to play the clip in a second, but I know at the time people were like, why is the president not helping these people? There are people who are in horrible conditions who have been sitting in solitary confinement this entire time, and the president has just seemingly turned his back on these people. Well, he says not so. Watch.
But I want to ask you, I'm certainly concerned about these January 6th defendants, sir. There are hundreds of people who have been dragged through hell, and some are still locked up in the D.C. Gitmo. I am sickened, sir. How do we right this wrong? What can you do?
So I met with a number of times, but I met with, and I'm financially supporting people that are incredible. And they were in my office actually 2 days ago. It's very much on my mind. And I will tell you, I will look very, very favorably about full pardons. If I decide to run and if I win, I will be looking very, very strongly about pardons.
All right. First of all, the camera, like, you need to maintain some distance from the camera. That was a little weird. But more importantly, I just asked him about this at CPAC several weeks ago. And he kind of, he doesn't go full out and say, yes, I absolutely will. He gives a strong statement indicating that he likely will, but he doesn't fully commit to it. When I talked to him about it, he said, I think you know the answer, is what he said. But he never fully said, yes, I will do that. And by the way, when I asked him, I just said the nonviolent January 6th political prisoners. I didn't say the people who went over there and destroyed, destroyed things. I just said the nonviolent political prisoners. And so that is his most recent answer.
When we were at CPAC together that day. When you asked him,
we got shut in together by Secret Service.
That's right. No food, no water. But when I saw that clip of yours, right, immediately what came to mind to me is that his team had not run the traps yet. They don't quite know how will America react, broadly if he goes right now hard, yes, full pardon. Well, of course, we believe that there's due process in this country. You're innocent until proven guilty. So that's my take on it. But he did say to you, you know the answer. And I think code.
Yeah, he said we're looking very strongly at that.
Get me in there and you know what I'll do. Get me back into the Oval and you know what I'll do. But that was my take on it.
But for my question in particular, I specified non-violent. If you can't say that you would I mean, throw the crazy lefties out. I think the average person, if they actually look into it, probably a lot of them don't know that it's going on, but if they actually looked into it and saw the conditions that these people were being put in for simply walking in when a policeman opened the door and said, come on in, and now they're having to pay with their lives and their careers and they're being taken away from their families. I mean, I gotta imagine that even the average person would say that that's wrong. They didn't do anything worth holding them to that standard.
When I saw Sarah's clip, I still got that sense that Trump was sense-fitting on this one. He doesn't know whether to commit. And kind of what you were saying is he doesn't know how the voter
traps on it yet.
Right, he doesn't know what the voter base would react like. So I'm still curious of just how this is going to roll out. I will say though, for people who don't know, try to do some research you can on the conditions of the folks in there. It is brutal. Some of the information that's come out. One of my very good friends, who's just an independent journalist, just was found guilty just for entering and doing a job of a journalist of taking pictures and photos. So they're coming after people who literally just walked in, did absolutely nothing. There's some people who still haven't even seen a judge from that incident. So that's something to remember.
That's my point, Jorge, is we give mass murderers due process because our legal system says due process. There's no due process. So to me, to your point, it's not a hard answer.
Which is why it frustrates me. Which is why it frustrates me that he won't just give it, right? And he could even just cut out the people who trashed the place, the
interesting
people
if
who
you
said
ask
they
this
were going to
question.
hang Mike Pence.
But
right?
even in that clip with Sarah, it looked like Trump was trying to kind of get out of it too. Like, hey, you know the answer, and it was like he almost didn't want to sit there for the press, right, for the follow up. So it was almost like, hey, you know the answer, and I just don't think he's committed. I mean, from the sense that I'm getting,
maybe a timing thing, kind of, and also still, is he going to run? Is he not going to run? That whole thing. Be interesting to ask Ron DeSantis the same question.
Yeah,
right now.
Actually, there are a lot of people I think from Florida who are wrapped up in that.
Yes.
So it would be very interesting to ask them. Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. It makes me uneasy that he won't. I understand the politics of it because then the headlines are Trump plans to pardon anyone who rallied for him.
And even if you ask nonviolent, CNN is going to spin it as the most extreme people he wants to free. And
when being there in that moment, it was a very, very, very small media circuit, and it did feel like he was very uncomfortable with the question. I was very nice to the communications person who allowed me the opportunity, but I was like, I just have a feeling I'm never going to be allowed to any one of these anymore. I sent her an email afterwards. I was like, I really appreciate the opportunity. Let me know if anything else comes up. And I did not hear back. So.
Hey, they think Ducey is tough. You should hear the off-camera conversations here. Sarah would press for the right questions.
I like the guy. I like the guy, but I felt like it was a question that needed to be asked. So, all right. Well, we have got to. We got to go to break. But I just want to remind you guys, for those of you who have not yet subscribed to BlazeTV, I don't know when this. Is this segment even on YouTube? I don't know, because they're constantly kicking us off and you can't find us there. So you got to make sure that you are able to watch us. It's not just this show. It's Jason Whitlock. It's Steven Crowder. It's, of course, Glenn Beck, Mark Levin, Chad Prather, my friend, and the Robertsons. We've got so much over at BlazeTV. And really, it is like the price of a cup of coffee at Starbucks, especially in Joe Biden's America, for the entire month. So you got to go join over at blazetv.com. Promo code NEWS20 for $20 off of the first year subscription. That is promo code NEWS20. Hurry up. This is only valid until September 11th over at blazetv.com. Disney subsidiary FX just released quite an interesting cartoon, a satanic cartoon called Little Demon. This is about a 13-year-old child whose mom was knocked up by Satan. Over at IMDb, it says, after being impregnated by the devil, a reluctant mother and her Antichrist daughter attempt to live an ordinary life in Delaware. This has all sorts of, as you would expect, pagan rituals, witchcraft, blood and gore, nudity, and this is where we're at.
And then
I have a feeling he has something to say about
People
it.
don't believe me when I say you haven't seen the bottom of this, because they've sworn an allegiance to Satan. And they're just coming after your kids to teach them about sex in kindergarten. They want to destroy their lives 100%. But it's akin to Scripture. The Nephilim, they came. Demonic forces came and impregnated women. This is Scripture. It's biblical. You maybe go read it for a change and understand that they are in a process of recreating havoc at a level like you've never seen. The gnashing and pain and sacrifice of children is not out of the question. We now have organ harvesting of children in Texas. And now they will normalize it. Oh, let's like little demon boy. Satan is a good dad. No, he's not. I mean, this is what this administration and their kind is going to give you and your children. So you better fight.
You say it the best, brother. All I gotta say is this is a gift to, once again, to the parents, school boards to the right, when it comes to the cultural issues. It's waking up that class that maybe wouldn't vote Republican, and they are. And I'm saying this because I've talked to Hispanic families. It's this type of stuff. So Little Demon is almost a gift to the GOP at this point.
No kidding. Jorge, tell everyone where they can find you.
Ventura Report on Twitter. We're breaking news. Border just left Jackson, Mississippi. So a lot of good reporting.
And Jaco?
Instagram, YouTube, Bottom Line. Follow us. You do great work, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you both.